I posted a throwback pic from our honeymoon. Cute moment. Sweet caption. My mother-in-law commented, "Glad he finally smiled for a photo. He looked miserable in the wedding ones." I thought about deleting it. Instead, I replied, "Probably the tight tux. Or the tight company." She didn't like that. But I slept great that night. I'm a 41-year-old woman from Pittsburgh. I've been married to my husband, Alex, 43, for almost 4 years. We met in the least romantic place possible, the basement of a community theater. I was handling lighting and stage setup, and he was the lead in a small play. We hit it off right away. He made me laugh, listened when I spoke, and made me feel like I mattered. You know how rare that is? Things moved fast. Within a year, we were talking about marriage. Another year, and we were engaged. I'll be honest, I wasn't one of those girls who dreamed about a big wedding. I wanted something small, personal, meaningful. That's where the problem started. His mom, Barbara, did not like that plan. Barbara is the kind of woman who always has something to say, especially if it makes her the center of attention. Her voice is high and sharp. Her opinions are just honest. She has this way of making compliments feel like insults. She's very real, she told Alex after meeting me. What does that even mean? She had her heart set on a massive church wedding followed by a formal banquet. But Alex and I chose a cozy outdoor venue in the Poconos, a garden ceremony with string lights, local catering, and acoustic music. About 80 guests. Nothing flashy. No gold chairs, no chocolate fountains. Just us and the people who mattered. Barbara hated it. From the start, she acted like she was being punished. She complained about everything: the venue, the lack of a full bar, the cheap invitations. She made several comments about how I must have been cutting corners to save money. I caught her once whispering to her sister, "Well, this is what happens when the bride handles everything herself." The cherry on top? She showed up in a white, yes, white, floor-length gown. It looked like it could have been a second wedding dress. I stared at her for a good 10 seconds, speechless. She gave me a little shrug and said, "It's ivory. Don't worry, sweetheart." Alex was pissed, but tried to keep the peace. I swallowed it and smiled through the whole day. In almost every single photo from our wedding, Barbara looks like she just bit into a lemon. Dead serious. She didn't smile. Not once. Even during the mother-son dance, she looked miserable. We went to Maui for our honeymoon. 7 days of sun, food, snorkeling, and just being in love. We laughed a lot. Ate too much. Got sunburned. Made friends with a couple from Portland who we still talk to. One night, we went to a traditional luau. There was music, dancing, fire twirlers, the works. Alex pulled me close during one of the slow songs, and someone nearby offered to take our photo. It turned out perfect. He had his arms around me, and we both had huge, relaxed smiles. It was one of those candid shots where you can actually feel the happiness in the image. No makeup, no posing. Just us. I saved that picture in a special folder. It felt like the moment everything felt right. A few months later, I was scrolling through old vacation pics and saw that photo. It made me smile all over again. I figured it was time to post it. I added a simple caption, "Throwback to our honeymoon in Maui." Pure magic that night, harmless, right? I posted it on Facebook, where most of our family and friends are. Got a bunch of likes. Friends commented hearts and said we looked so happy. Then I got a notification. Barbara had commented. It said, "Glad he finally smiled for a photo. He looked miserable in the wedding ones." I stared at my phone for a long time. I wasn't even angry right away. It was more like shock. It was so petty. Like, for what? We were past the wedding. We were married. She still couldn't let it go. I wanted to delete the post. I thought maybe it wasn't worth the drama. But then I thought, no. If she's going to keep pushing me, maybe she needs to see I won't just sit and take it. So I replied, "Probably the tight tux. Or the tight company." I hit post. Didn't even hesitate. Alex saw it later that night and let out this low whistle. He looked at me, half smiling. You sure you want to poke the bear? I shrugged. She poked first. He didn't say anything else. Just nodded. I went to sleep great that night. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I stood up for myself. The next morning, my phone was blowing up. Not just texts. Calls. Messenger pings. Facebook comments. Some of Alex's cousins thought it was hilarious. A few of my friends privately messaged, finally, and about time someone said it. But Barbara? She went nuclear. She didn't comment again. She called Alex furious. She ranted for 30 minutes about how I was disrespectful, how I was turning him against his family, how I always misinterpret her words. Alex, to his credit, defended me, told her she crossed a line and that if she didn't want people clapping back, maybe she shouldn't throw shade first. Barbara hung up on him. Then she posted her own Facebook status. Something vague and dramatic like, "Some people don't understand loyalty. Blood is blood." Which, LOL, okay. From there, things got worse. A couple of days later, we had a family group chat for planning a reunion. It had his parents, siblings, aunts, uncles. That was the plan. It was about picking dates and locations. But Barbara hijacked it. She wrote, "I think we need to address the elephant in the room before we all pretend to be a happy family." Dead silence for 20 minutes. Then she launched into a paragraph about how she's been nothing but welcoming to me and how my disrespectful tone on Facebook was deeply hurtful and ungrateful. I sat there, stunned. Before I could even respond, one of Alex's aunts chimed in, "Barb, you literally said she looked miserable at her own wedding. That was you. Don't act like a victim now." Another cousin dropped a meme of popcorn. I finally said, "If you want me to respect you, maybe stop posting things you wouldn't say to my face." That shut it down for the day. The group chat went radio silent. No reunion was planned. Barbara hasn't spoken to me directly since. She still talks to Alex, but only when I'm not around. If I answer the phone, she asks to speak to her son. Never says hi. Never asks how I am. And honestly, I'm not even sad about it. But here's where things get complicated because Barbara's pettiness, it's just the start of what's coming. That Facebook post? That clapback? It opened up something in this family. Old grudges. Secrets. Sides being picked. And now, things are unraveling in ways I never expected. So, after the group chat blew up, things went quiet. For about 2 weeks. No one said anything. No calls. No updates. Just awkward silence. I figured maybe things would cool down. Maybe Barbara would stew for a while and then move on like she usually does. That's how it's always been. She throws shade, makes herself the victim, and then acts like nothing happened. But this time, something changed. 2 weeks later, we got a paper invitation in the mail for a small dinner party at Barbara's house. Just family. No occasion. No holiday. Just a casual gathering for good food and conversation. I raised an eyebrow. You think this is a trap? Alex looked at the invite and sighed. It's definitely something. We decided to go. Part of me wanted to see what she was planning. Part of me was just tired of all the drama and thought maybe she'd finally apologize. Reader, she did not. We showed up and the table was already set. Barbara was in full host mode, fake smile, too much perfume, calling everyone darling and sweetheart like she was auditioning for a soap opera. We sat. She made chicken cordon bleu. Weirdly fancy for a casual dinner. Then came the wine. And with it, the setup. She raised her glass and said, "To family, even the ones who forget their place sometimes." Everyone went dead quiet. I blinked. Alex shifted next to me and muttered, "Okay, here we go." Barbara kept going. "I just think respect is the cornerstone of any marriage, especially when you're welcomed into a family you didn't grow up in." She smiled at me. It wasn't kind. It was sharp. That's when her daughter, Alex's sister, Michelle, cleared her throat. Michelle hasn't said a word about any of this until now. She's usually quiet, always avoids conflict. But now? Mom, she said slowly, can we not do this? Please? Barbara acted confused. Do what, sweetheart? Michelle sighed. You know exactly what. Then Barbara turned to me and dropped the bomb. You know, I saw your mother at the wedding. She didn't even look proud. She looked embarrassed. My heart started pounding. Now we were dragging my family into it? Alex stood up, chair screeching. Enough. Barbara looked stunned. Excuse me, you don't get to talk about her family. Not after the way you've treated my wife. This dinner? This wasn't about making peace. You wanted to humiliate her. And I'm done playing along. He grabbed my hand. We left. Barbara shouted something as we walked out, but I couldn't even hear it over the blood rushing in my ears. I thought that was the worst of it. It wasn't. A week later, Michelle showed up at our place unannounced. She looked nervous. I need to talk to you, she said. She sat down on our couch, took a deep breath, and said, You're not crazy. Mom's been doing this to people for years. She tears people down and then plays innocent. But she's worse than you think. I was confused. Worse how? She hesitated. She might have meddled in your wedding. Like, more than you know. Then she told us something that made my stomach turn. Apparently, the dress I ordered for my mom, a dusty rose A-line gown from a boutique in Erie, never showed up. It was supposed to arrive 2 weeks before the wedding. Instead, my mom got an email that it was delayed due to supplier issues. She ended up having to wear an old backup dress she didn't love. Turns out, Barbara knew someone at that boutique. A distant cousin. She casually mentioned that a cancellation might be coming and that a bride's mom was being difficult about colors. Michelle didn't know the full details, but she heard Barbara talking on the phone a few days before the wedding, bragging about how she handled the mother of the bride drama. I felt sick. That wasn't just pettiness. That was sabotage. After that talk, I started looking back on other little things I brushed off before. Like the florist saying our final order had been changed last minute, we got fewer centerpieces than expected. Or the hotel reservation mix-up that made 3 of my bridesmaids have to room together. All small things. Things that seemed like normal wedding chaos. But now it felt like something else. A few days after Michelle's visit, I went looking through Alex's old laptop. We were cleaning out the office closet and wanted to back things up before recycling it. In the documents folder, I found something called Family Stuff, Private. It was locked. Alex saw me looking at it. He looked guilty. I forgot that was even on there, he said. I started writing in it after my dad died. Just notes. Stuff I didn't want to forget. And some stuff I couldn't say out loud. He unlocked it. There were entries going back 10 years. Before he met me. And Barbara? She was in almost every entry. Manipulating. Guilt-tripping. Threatening to cut him off if he didn't follow her lead. He wrote once about a girlfriend he really liked, someone his mom disapproved of. Within months, that girl was gone. Another note mentioned how Barbara threatened to fake an illness to stop him from moving out. And the scariest one? Sometimes I wonder who I'd be if I hadn't grown up with her voice in my head every single day. This is bigger than a Facebook post. Bigger than a snarky comment. This is years of control, manipulation, and quiet sabotage, and I walked into it thinking it was just about a tight tux and a sour smile. Now the question is, what else has she done? Because if she went that far just to ruin a wedding, what else is buried? And how many more people has she hurt? After reading through Alex's hidden journal entries, I saw patterns. Real ones. This wasn't just mother-son tension. It was obsession. It was control. It was like she saw Alex as her personal project, and anyone who got close to him was a threat. I sat with Alex. We talked about his old entries. He looked ashamed, like he should have done more, seen more. I just thought it was normal, he said. She was always like that. That's the thing with manipulation. When you grow up in it, it feels like air. But one entry stuck with me. It mentioned his ex, S, who he dated for 2 years before we met. The entry said, S was the first person to call Mom out. She said she was suffocating. I didn't listen. I regret that now. I'd never heard much about this woman. He always said it just didn't work out. So I asked, "Do you still have her number?" He hesitated. "I think so." We texted S. I'll call her Sabrina. Just a simple message. "Hey, this is Alex. Something weird came up about my mom, and I'd like to ask you something, if you're okay with that." She responded in under 10 minutes. "Oh. Wow. Yeah. Sure. I've been waiting for this for years." I called her that night. Alex sat beside me, pale and quiet. "Here's what Sabrina told us. Barbara hated her. From day one. Sabrina was in law school, had a strong personality, and didn't back down when Barbara made her little passive-aggressive digs. Barbara would make comments like, 'Oh, you're still in school? Alex has always liked girls with real jobs.' Or, 'You don't really want kids, right?' That would hold Alex back. Sabrina pushed back, politely but firmly. She thought Alex saw it. He didn't. Then the weird stuff started. Sabrina's dad was sick. He was old school and liked to write letters the real kind, with stamps. One week, 3 letters didn't show up. Just gone. She thought maybe the mail got lost. Until months later, she found one of those letters opened and burned inside a shoebox in Alex's old closet. Barbara had taken it. She confronted Alex. He was shocked. He asked his mom about it, and Barbara cried. Full-on waterworks. "I just didn't want her to distract you, sweetheart. She was so dramatic, and I knew she'd use her dad's illness to control you." Sabrina broke up with Alex 2 weeks later. She never told anyone. She said she figured it was pointless. But she never forgot. Alex was shaking by the end of that call. "She read her dad's letters?" he asked, voice flat. "Yeah," I said. "And she burned one." He sat on the floor for a long time, just staring at nothing. I think something snapped in him that night. 2 days later, Michelle came over again. She looked exhausted. No makeup. Big hoodie. Just done with it all. "I need to tell you something else," she said. "And I need you not to freak out." I braced myself. Turns out Barbara had a storage unit. Michelle found it by accident when helping her mom move some stuff. She had seen a slip of paper with a key and an address. Curiosity got the best of her. What was in there? Photos. Folders. Records. A literal binder labeled Alex, college years. Printouts of his course schedule. Notes on who he dated. Emails she somehow accessed. Michelle said it was like walking into a stalker's office. "I didn't even know how she got half that stuff," she said. And the weirdest thing? There was a folder labeled Wife. Your name was on the cover, along with 5 others. Michelle took pictures of everything. She showed us. My full name. A printout of my old LinkedIn. A photo of my mom's Facebook profile. Comments I made on old college message boards. And on one of the pages, someone had circled the line, "She's very opinionated. Watch for emotional manipulation." It was in red ink. Underneath it, Barbara had written, "Too similar to me. Dangerous." A week after that, Alex and I started noticing weird things. Little things. Like a weird delay on our home Wi-Fi. Or the baby cam. We don't have kids, but we use it for our dog, showing static in the middle of the night. I called a friend of mine who works in tech. He came over and found a device plugged into our router. A listening device. Not just recording, streaming. We pulled it out, shocked. Then I remembered. Barbara came over once while we were out of town. We gave her a spare key. She said she wanted to drop off some holiday decorations she bought for fun. This has turned into something bigger. More serious. We're talking with a lawyer. We've changed the locks. Set up real security. Cut off all communication. Michelle is staying with us. She's terrified. She wants to go no contact too. But there's one more thing we haven't figured out yet, and it's haunting me. Barbara has a second storage unit. The address was scribbled on the back of a receipt in the first one. We don't know what's in it, but we're going. Because at this point, it's not about Facebook. It's not about a tight tux. It's about control, secrets, and something much darker than we ever imagined. It was cold, gray skies, the kind of weather that makes your teeth clench. Michelle had the key. She handed it to Alex. He stood in front of the metal door, hand shaking. I put my hand over his and said, "We do this together." He nodded. He unlocked it. At first, it looked normal. Just boxes, some old furniture, a few bins labeled photos. But then we found the filing cabinet. 4 drawers, locked. Michelle had swiped a key from Barbara's kitchen drawer weeks ago. She handed it over. Drawer 1, financial records. Fine, nothing weird. Drawer 2, newspaper clippings. A few were about Alex, his college graduation, a local play he acted in. Then it got strange. Drawer 3 was filled with emails. Printed. Highlighted. From Alex's exes. From me. From his job. Personal conversations, things no one should have seen. One email I had written to Alex years ago, after our first fight, where I opened up about my fears, my family, my regrets. She printed it. Labeled it. Emotional leverage. I felt sick. Then we opened drawer 4. I'll never forget this one folder. Plan B. Inside, a document titled, "If She Leaves Him." It was instructions. Barbara had written out an actual strategy for how to pull Alex back in. Places he could stay to clear his head, lawyers she trusted, and get this, a typed email draft from Alex to me, breaking up, apologizing for being a burden. It was signed with his name. She was planning everything. Every conversation. Every outcome. I couldn't breathe. Michelle, pale as a ghost, whispered, "She's been scripting your life." Alex didn't say anything. He just sat down on the ground. Silent. That night, we took everything home. Made copies. Took photos. Called our lawyer. We thought that was the end. But then Barbara showed up. Uninvited. She stood on our porch, holding a casserole dish like this was a sitcom. I opened the door. Before I could say a word, she said, "I need to talk to my son." Her eyes locked on mine. Cold. Empty. "No," I said. She pushed past me. Alex was in the living room. He stood up. Face blank. Barbara walked right up to him and said, "She's poisoning you." Michelle stood between them. "No, Mom," she said. "You've been poisoning all of us for years." Barbara looked at her, stunned. "Is this about the storage units?" she asked, too calm. "You printed my emails," I said. "You wrote fake breakup letters. You spied on us." "I was protecting him," she snapped. "You don't know what's best for him." "I do." That was it. Alex finally spoke. "You don't get to play God," he said, voice shaking. "Not anymore. I'm done." Barbara's face crumbled. Her hand clenched around the dish. "I gave you everything," she said. Alex looked her dead in the eyes and said, "And you tried to take everything from me." We filed a restraining order. We turned over the storage unit evidence. The lawyer said we had grounds for emotional harassment and invasion of privacy, possibly even identity fraud. We changed our numbers, changed our locks, changed everything. Michelle went no contact. So did a few cousins. Barbara's perfect family empire cracked straight down the middle. She tried to rally others, but the truth was out. Some believed her. Most didn't. Her mask had finally slipped. I'll admit this. I used to let things slide. Thought staying quiet kept the peace. I avoided conflict. Smiled through the shade. But silence lets people like Barbara grow louder. And my clapback? It was small. Petty, even. But it was the first domino. So yeah, I regret not standing up sooner. Not asking more questions. Not digging deeper when the signs were there. But I don't regret answering back. 3 weeks ago, Barbara called from a new number. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. It said, "I'm sorry if I hurt you. I was just trying to keep things together." I deleted it because it was never about holding us together. It was about control. And now, we're free.